This is a great quote by Nietzsche. I'm not upset that you lied to me. I'm upset that from now on, I can't believe you. That was the biggest thing that happened with my dad. It wasn't that he lied all the time or just people in my life, like institutions like NASA or, the NIH or any of these stuff. It's not that like your lie did that much, but it's like now I can never believe a word out of your mouth. Like once you identify a liar and it's pretty easy to do. Like for example, you can go back through the 80 days of live streaming I've done and you can see where I've changed my mind. You can see where my opinion shifted. You can see where I've drastically changed my opinion on things. But one thing about me that you can clearly see is I never lie. I never keep one story this way and another story, like never. And that's one reason why I command such loyalty and respect from people is because it's all in the open. And one of the reasons I think they tried to censor me so intensely is because they don't want people to see the journey where you can go back 5 years, 8 years sometimes on these 7 years on this podcast / live stream. And when you're doing 2.5 hours a day for years and years and years, you can't be a liar because it will always unravel. And that's provable that I'm never a liar. Because the thing is, people will forgive you if you're wrong. They will forgive you if you change your opinion. They will forgive you if you get angry. They'll forgive you if you get resentful. They'll forgive you if you make a mistake, like a big mistake. What they won't forgive you for is to be a liar. Because at that point, like, it's logical to never believe them again. Because once someone shows you that that's what they are, it's like NASA. It's like, nothing they say is believable now. And it's intense. And that's one of the things I recently watched this movie, Free Guy. Liars and hypocrites don't get forgiveness. That's true, Cobb, but everybody can be slightly hypocritical. I find I keep my hypocrisies in check, but I do find them occasionally. No one is purely not a hypocrite. Like, like I can be ranting about the vulgarity of Hollywood as I'm saying it and all that stuff. And so, like you'll find these little things that you're doing that aren't complete, like I find myself, occasionally catching that. And that's hypocrisy in a way. Unapologetic hypocrisy. Yeah, that's a good one, Cod. Where you're like, oh no, I can be a hypocrite. Like my slogan is I might be wrong, but I'm not lying. The hypocrite is I might be lying, but I'm not wrong. Where they're saying the ends justify the means, where they lie in order to get an outcome, and they believe that is justified. I'll give you a perfect example of that. Like Trump is the perfect example. Here's Trump. Wow, this is great. It's nice to see Trump not just proudly admitting he's vaxxed and boosted, but going out of his way to shut down the people booing and then pointing out that it's just a tiny group. I know Lady QAnon Bear 3366911 is beside herself. And then they start justifying it. They start saying, oh, Trump has to do that because, he's got to play ball for the big battles. No, it's unforgivable. He betrayed his base. He betrayed everything he said. And now he's lying all the time. I don't even think he got a booster. He lies all the time. Oh, Trump, I know, but the worst is when people justify where they go, oh, but Big Bear, it's for the greater good. It's never for the greater good. Every time you lie, think of it in a metaphysical sense. You like tear reality. Like it's like poisoning someone's mind, because the way we discern reality, the way we discern our lives is with information. And when you have bad information, you can't discern properly. You end up being a bad engine, all built up with sludge. And so when he puts these lies into the world, when he puts like this hypocrisy into the world, it breaks the brains of his sheeple. And that's bad. That's clearly bad. And it always backfires. Force begets force. And this is the good news, if you want to see it this way, that, and it's really sad to see all these Trump fans justify it, where they're like, okay, sometimes you probably have to justify me. Like if you're a fan of mine, or if you're a bear, or if you're in this community and someone will show you a clip and you're like, oh, but Big Bear was drunk and angry that night, or Big Bear was this, blah, 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 blah. you'll never have to defend me being a liar, or trying to throw you under the bus. So I understand people wanting to defend the guy they like under attack. Because I know every one of you probably at some point will have a family member or a friend be like, but isn't Owen Benjamin blah, blah, blah? And you're like, and then you defend me, which is great. But what you defend is a misunderstanding. Well, he's done 80 hours of live streaming, and sometimes he's in really crazy moods. And that was a clip from that. And if you think about it, I mean, they do control the banks and blah, blah, blah. All right. So that's, I appreciate people who defend people. Like, I used to defend Trump when the media would unfairly attack him, when they're like, oh, well, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, that's not fair. You guys do way worse, and you have no evidence of Russia collusion, or you have no evidence of this or that, right? But when it comes to this vaccine narrative, it's and the January 6th stuff, he riled up his base, implied, strongly implied, him and his little son there, to storm the Capitol. He said, go march to the Capitol, show them our voice, and he was trying to say that his vice president needed to be stopped, and democracy was on the line and our government is being taken over. So he riles up these people that love America and believe in Trump. And then a lot of them are still in prison right now. And he's done nothing to help them get out of prison. In fact, he threw them under the bus, called them terrorists, all that stuff. BB will never send us to storm a Capitol. Never. It's horrible what he did to you guys. Not you guys, but a lot of his followers. He was like, I am Trump, believe in me. We're fighting the deep state. America is on the verge of collapse. We have the cabal, blah, blah. And then they kept saying stuff to try and get violence. They're like, his little son there was like, act like the left. And we had just witnessed the quote unquote left riot for 6-8 straight months. Mostly peaceful protests, all that bullshit. And so they riled up a crowd, and you can create an egregore in a crowd. Trust me, I'm someone who has gotten 10,000 people in a stadium to sing Over the Pants Hand Job in a Walgreens and cry. Okay, I understand the egregore of a crowd. You can make thousands of people act as one, and then you start conducting them. It's one of the reasons that I'm so terrifying to some of these people, is because I understand the skill set. He gets this egregore of the crowd to start going. Was there operations going on? Was there actors? Of course. Did they want this to happen? Yes. Was it a script? Of course. Did real people do it? Yeah. And they're still in prison. And I'm not defending them either. This is the result of idol worship. This is why God allows it. If you worship an idol over God, and that idol, that puppet, tells you to do something, and you do it, and it's immoral, or if it's clearly illogical. When Don Jr. said you act like the left, he meant to Gavin Newsom's plastic ex-wife. Yeah, Don Jr. married Gavin Newsom's sloppy seconds. So all this right-wing bullshit of oh, we're so much better than the left. The namesake of Donald Trump got the leftovers of Gavin Newsom, who's gross. So all right. So anyway, that was the point I was trying to make, that and the lying only hurts them. If you're a liar, you will end up a lot like my dad, just muttering and sputtering, not having any contact with his family, always miserable, always, crying.